welcome to Elements of Ayurveda, Empowering Wisdom of Life. I'm your host, Colette, and in this podcast, I hope to empower you to take charge of your own health by sharing the holistic teachings of Ayurveda, the ancient healing tradition from India. We will also discuss topics like health and wellness, nutrition, yoga, fitness, meditation, breath work, and much more, as well as interviewing lots of inspiring people along the way. My humble wish is to help you to connect to your true nature, to Mother Nature, and to each other. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the show, and the new episodes will automatically download for you to enjoy. If you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend you listen to the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. I've also set up a Facebook group for us to connect and to support each other, and I'd love for you to join me over at Elements of Ayurveda podcast group. And now here's the show. Hello and welcome to Elements of Ayurveda. In this episode, I want to introduce you to my friend Claire from England. Say hi, Claire.
Hello.
So Claire and I met back in France in 2010, and it was the time we were both training for the Ironman in Nice. We were both entrepreneurs. I had the fitness and yoga studio. Claire had a bike tour company, and we basically supported each other in sport, training for the Ironman, in business, and this support has continued as we've moved on into different phases of our life. Claire is now back in England and a mother of two beautiful boys. And she's also an essential oil expert and a clinical aromatherapist trained by Neal's Yard Remedies in the UK. Aromatherapy, as we know, is the therapeutic use of essential oils to enhance and balance the body, the mind, and overall well-being. And we're going to talk about that later. However, I asked Claire to come on the show today to share her story as a mother with you and how she has used Ayurveda throughout her journey into motherhood and through motherhood and how it's really helped her. So Claire, I want to go back to 2010. And is it fair to say that we're both experiencing burnout after the Ironman? Maybe.
2010 was a very, very busy year for both of us.
Right.
I remember that year I did the London Marathon in the April.
That's right. Yeah.
Then 1 month later, I did a half Ironman in the May. Gosh. And then in the June, 1 month later, I did a full Ironman with you.
I forgot about the London Marathon. That's right. You're crazy.
Yeah. And at the same time, I was launching my company.
Right.
It was a cycle tour company. So I was going out on the bike like every day, 5-6 hours into the mountains, doing research, planning routes, and then coming back home and then doing another 5-6 hours sitting on the laptop, working, hours and hours and hours. Also enjoying a social life.
Oh my gosh. Isn't it crazy? And I remember distinctly, and I guess it was the end, because we did the Ironman, say, in June. So I think it was that autumn. I remember visiting you one day, and this had been a time when you were really burnt out. And I was like, how's it going? What's going on? You just look exhausted. And you were like, well, today I watered the garden. And that was your achievement for the day. You were literally in bed for several weeks, right?
3 months.
Oh my
3 months. I think it was, towards the end of 2010, I was just carrying on. And then around very early 2011, I think it was March, April, May, I basically was just in bed, couldn't do anything, didn't have the energy to do anything.
Wow.
It was a really, it was a worrying time. I see all of my family in the UK still. I was in a relationship then. I'd already met who I ended up marrying. And so I had him to support me, but he wasn't living with me at the time.
Right.
The doctors were didn't understand. They just kept telling me I had fatigue. They found I had very low iron. And then eventually I spoke to a nutritionist, and she said, your adrenals are exhausted.
Right.
Just your whole body's exhausted. And so she helped me understand.
Wow.
And I remember she gave me some tablets called Adrenamax, and she just was like, you got to stop. I was on the email all the time. Social media wasn't so big back then, but
That's
just
right.
online, this constant stimulation, either doing hardcore physical exercise
Yeah.
or online, just not enough rest. And eventually your body is just like, okay, that's it, I've had enough. So for me, it was 3 months in bed. And I remember around the June, because it was my birthday, I remember around that time I started to get some energy back, and I started doing short walks, and slowly, but I have never let myself go back to that. I always have that in my mind though, that period. You're like, I will not do that much exercise again. I will not let myself get that tired. So you learn,
Yeah. And unfortunately, I had to go through that in order to learn it. But it's true. We were both just gung ho. Talk about being pitta fired up. We were
we're our own worst enemies.
Right?
We just keep going and going and drive ourselves into the ground.
We can do it. We can do it all. Oh my God.
Such self-determination.
Yeah.
It's quite impressive, but we learned our lesson that year.
We did. Both of us were like, I think we had each other to support. It was great because we knew exactly what each other were going through. But yeah, it was a pretty crazy time. Yeah. And for me, it took a little longer, I think, because you did so much in 1 year. Whereas for me, I just kept kind of going at a certain level. And then it was 2014. Yeah. But, so that definitely taught you a very serious lesson, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's probably the first stage of me trying to find balance in my own body. I wouldn't have said I was perfectly balanced after that.
Right.
I carried on, but I found a level where I could cope for a bit longer, basically.
Right.
And running your own business is so full on, but I learned to try and take time out more. Stop the emails, turn it off.
Right.
Have more relaxation.
Yeah, you have to, because it could, especially when you're running your own business and running it from home, you could just be nonstop. I certainly was. When I had the fitness and yoga studio, I was in there like from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. It was crazy. Yeah. But we've learned, right? So we both felt the effect of too much training, too much work on our body and mind. So now let's fast forward a few years later, right? When you now met your husband and you decided to start a family. So can you tell us about your health at this time? You're back in the UK now. So what year did you go back?
It was slightly before that. So we got married in 2012. And then we started trying for children in February 2013. We were still in France.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So that was the year we decided we wanted to go back home and start a family. So we knew by the end of the year we wanted to move back. And as it happened, I was going to sell my company. So we were due go back to the UK in November, and I managed to get pregnant this September. So we were like, this is amazing, perfect timing. We're going to go back home, and I'll be pregnant, and that's what I'll do. We arrived back home, and I was about 8 weeks pregnant, and literally the next week, first miscarriage. So it's very, very stressful. We moved house, moved country.
Yeah.
Trying to sell the business. And then we decided I had to find a job then as well. So it's really up, down. These are major life changes.
Right.
We didn't, miscarriage unfortunately is very common. It's about 1 in 5. So we were like, okay, fine. We were just unlucky. Let's just keep going. I managed to get pregnant again quite quickly. So March 2014. So that was only 4 months later.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, again, that miscarried again around the 7-8 week mark. So then it's like, something's not quite right here, but they don't really register you have a problem until you've had 3, because it's so common. Right. So it was just a very stressful year, really. Infertility is, it's very stressful. It's not really something you speak about. So we were trying to work out, we got some professional help. I was trying to get a job. I was trying to sell the business.
Gosh.
Quite a lot was going on.
Yeah.
It was very stressed. I remember being very depressed about it all. Family knew about it, but otherwise we didn't really speak that widely about it. I was doing nice, gentle yoga, still cycling, but not that much. Just, moderate. I was doing some running, and then I started to investigate. Well, I've always been into holistic therapies.
Yes.
But I remember going for acupuncture because I've heard it's good for, fertility. But for me, I felt I just wanted to relax about it all. I was getting very anxious, and obviously that's not the way to conceive.
Yes.
So I did quite a few courses of acupuncture, and she did lots of Reiki on me as well. I found it really relaxing. I did a few reflexology sessions, and then I started to investigate eating healthily.
Right.
And I think it was around this time, it was about the June 2014 that you, Colette, were in Bali at the time.
Yes, that's right. So I just done my cleanse.
Yes.
And I was like, you gotta check this Ayurveda out.
And I had heard of it before, but it was definitely like, okay, we spoke about it a lot, and I decided to find someone in London that would be able to help me. So I remember finding, there's the Hale Clinic in Regent's Park in London. It's got every holistic therapy you've ever heard of. And there's a lady there called Angela Hope Murray. And I booked an appointment with her. And that's when I started investigating, and she helped me work out that I'm very, very strong pitta.
Right.
She talked about my digestion, and my eyes were a problem at the time. So she taught me all about the food group, that's good for my dosha. She recommended I use something called Triphala Rose.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Triphala is great for elimination, rejuvenation, and the rose is really great for pitta, for cooling, particularly the eyes. I can't remember, what was wrong with your eyes at that point?
I get very dry eyes.
Okay.
If there's any hay fever or anything that goes to my eyes, I've got it again now with all this, this change of the seasons.
Right.
So she recommended I just dribble rose water into the eyes to cool them.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Rose is cooling, and the eyes are the organ of pitta, so that would all make sense.
Yeah, so it was really just the start, really helping to work out, my digestion. It's quite, it's not a quick fix answer. It's, changing your lifestyle. So over those next few months, the Triphala Rose started to work, and I started to feel better and just taking more control and really understanding what I'm eating. Then January the next year, so that was the June.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing all my yoga, everything, and nothing in crazy levels again.
Yeah, I remember us talking throughout and just, going back and forth and checking in with each other every so often. And, as I was studying Ayurveda too, and like, what are you doing now? And how are you feeling? And what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very strange, when you're trying to start a family, you don't understand it. It's a really, really tough time, especially when people all around you suddenly falling pregnant. Oh, we just started trying last week. So you just have to, let that go, and you just have to wait. And all I remember thinking is that I have to get myself in the best place I can be. Right.
Exactly.
So by the next January, I fell pregnant for a third time. So we were like, this is the one. And unfortunately, it wasn't.
Right.
So that was another, around the same time, around 8-week mark.
Yeah. Okay.
So this time, once you've had 3, you're allowed the full investigations. So they worked out there was a chromosome, problem. And then Anton and I had full tests. And throughout the time, we'd been having various courses of, like hormone injections and different things to try and help get a pregnancy going, to help conception. So this was a whole new level. They also worked out that I had a suboptimal thyroid. Okay. So my range was within normal, but I was at the very, very, very upper limit of it. So they put me on thyroxine. And I think that really helped, basically. And then I remember in the May, so that was about the April, put on the thyroid. In the May, Anton and I went for this brilliant holiday to Ibiza. It was the north of the islands where it's all yoga. Right. It's really beautiful. We had lots of vegan food. Like we were I remember swimming every day and just having loads of fun. Came back and we were really enjoying the vegan food the whole way through, like keeping to my, Ayurvedic principles as well. But I remember we're like, let's try this vegan thing. And we decided, right, this is it. We're going to do IVF in August. And so we stopped, I stopped worrying about it. It wasn't the first time I had stopped trying, because over 2.5, 3 years, there are various periods of, right, let's just give up for a bit and try again later. Right. But this June, I don't know, maybe finally I clicked, I was relaxed. I was eating healthily and the Ayurveda stuff was really working. And by July the 7th, that's I was pregnant, basically, and successfully.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and so beautiful. Yeah, so he was born then April the 2016.
Sebastian.
And in pregnancy as well, I was very anxious. Obviously, I was very determined to get to the 12 weeks. Right. I still didn't tell family. They put me on aspirin every day. Now I've had a lot of problems since then, but aspirin helps to stop miscarriage. There's been lots and lots of research about it.
I thought aspirin thinned the blood. That's interesting. Okay.
Well, they don't want it to clot.
Okay. So okay, that makes sense. So it does thin the blood, and okay.
Yeah. So some miscarriages are from some clotting that you don't want. So I was put on that every day, and I stayed on my thyroxine. I'm still on my thyroxine now. Okay. And I was sick every day for 25 weeks.
Oh, I remember.
I really, really, really struggled. And after being beautifully vegan, I remember walking through the supermarket, and I was very early days. I was just like, I need to be able to eat something. I was like, I can't. Everything makes me feel sick. And there was a chicken Kiev. You're just like, this is the total opposite. And I was just like, I think I could eat that. Right.
My body's saying I need this chicken Kiev.
Yeah, the most processed food you could have. So I was just, okay, I went with it. And I felt, I just, realized you just need to just let it go. And that was that's probably the most extreme thing I ate. But then gradually I learned to deal with it, and I was having ginger tea, and I remember eating a lot of crystallized ginger on the train to work.
Right, because ginger helps with the nausea and the digestion. Yeah.
Yes, yep. And I remember sniffing my peppermint essential oils and the ginger, and I used the travel sickness bands, which it's acupressure, in fact. So I used to sleep with them on, because it was in the morning when I woke up, it would start then working. So it's my blood sugar. It's for me. Even if I just nibbled on a little cracker or something, it really helped. As soon as my blood sugar dropped too low, I just started vomiting, basically. Wow. Mm-hmm. So it's quite an extreme. That's your body totally going out of balance. There's not much. Right. It's not much you can do. You can try all these different things, but for each pregnancy's different. I kept going with my Pilates and my yoga, and I was still cycling up until 6 months pregnant.
Right, but I remember that you weren't doing the crazy exercise we were doing before.
No, very gentle.
Very gentle. Like you just just did a complete flip on that you were like, okay, I gotta listen to my body, and you really were very good at making sure you didn't go back to that that pitta pushing again, that intensity.
Yeah, in fact, just before I got pregnant, I remember my friend going, "Leah, let's go and do this Bikram hot yoga. It's going to be great." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Yeah. And I went and did it. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I was just too hot. I was
Right.
like raging inside. I couldn't concentrate. And we'd signed up for a month. I was just like, I'm sorry, I am not I just can't. I cannot go back.
Yeah.
And now, you know, I understand now that that's really not what pitta people need.
Right. No, it's not.
It was terrible.
Yeah. So it was really a journey then from 2010 right up to your first pregnancy. It was a journey of you understanding and studying your body, and a lot of trial and error and trying to figure out different things in different therapies. But essentially, when you came on Ayurveda, I know that really resonated with you, right? And that you found something that was like, okay, this makes sense.
Yes. And I kept it, exactly. And I kept it going the whole way. And I keep coming back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now let's talk about postpartum, because I think this is a part of the journey of pregnancy that's not really dealt with, because then there's the baby, and then mom is and the partner, of course, are consumed with the baby. But it's a very Vata aggravating time, because Vata is responsible for all movement in the body, including childbirth. And because of that, it can cause a lot of Vata imbalances. And of course, emotionally, there can be a lot of imbalances, but it can also cause a lot of dryness in the body, and it can cause a lot of mind spinning, maybe a little bit of anxiety. Can you talk about that time postpartum?
Yes, each time has been slightly different, but when you've got a newborn and you're a new mother, you've just gone through, you know, labour and childbirth. For me, I ended up with emergency C-section, and then a C-section the second time as well. You've got a lot to deal with emotionally, physically. You're all over the place.
Yeah, right. It's such a disturbance for your whole body, and mind and soul. It's just,
one minute you're a pregnant woman, and then the next minute you're a new mother.
Right.
You're trying to, you know, work out who this child is. It's all about learning, you know, who this baby is, and that takes a long time. And you're trying to learn how to feed. It's, you know, the first 24 hours, first 24, 48 hours, you're normally in hospital. And I remember just asking for a lot of help.
Good.
The first time round. Yeah. I was really determined to get breastfeeding. Some people, it really doesn't work out for them.
Right. And there's a lot with that too. That's loaded, isn't it? If the baby doesn't latch on, or if there's other problems that, you know, I know for some mums I spoke to, they just feel like, what's wrong with me? I can't do this. And it's such an emotional time. There's such a lot of pressure on new moms, I think.
There is. Thankfully, in the area I live, it's quite a mixture. Some people are bottle feeding, some people are combination feeding, some people are breastfeeding. It's absolutely fine. But I know there is a lot of pressure on mums. I was able to feed with both my children, but it's not an easy journey. It's quite challenging. So you're going through all this early days where it's very painful. The nipples are trying to get used to it. Like newborns literally feed every hour. Yeah. So day and night for like the first 6 weeks, it's exhausting. So you're trying to, that's why you need support. You need people to help, like literally, bring food, bring water. Well, breastfeeding takes up like about 500 calories a day anyway. And you're literally just trying to like get food, get enough food in. It's really hard to eat properly, actually, unless someone's there, cooking it for you.
Right. It's so important to have somebody lined up to be giving you grounding, nurturing food that's full of good fats, that's really rejuvenating, because you cannot be responsible as a new mother for trying to cook as well.
No. I prepared a lot of food and put it in the freezer.
There you go. That's a great idea. Yeah. And I know in Ayurveda, there's a whole after birth postpartum, the woman is really taken care of. There's a whole team of people around her to take care and do Abhyanga oil massage every day and cook and really provide nurturing food, because it's so important to balance out that Vata after birth.
Yeah. For me, I limited guests and visitors.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And especially with both of them, actually, the first 2 weeks, it was only family, because it's so exhausting. You're trying to deal with so much. It's best just to basically bed down.
Yeah.
Bed down.
Yeah.
You, the baby, like literally be naked. Your skin on skin contact is amazing.
Yeah.
You just need to sit there, bond, just get, you know, and with the father as well. We try to as much as possible, and then gradually let visitors in. I can see some of my friends, they're like, oh yeah, we've had loads of visitors from like day 2, and then they're like, you can see that they're doubly exhausted by it.
Yeah.
You don't even know your own baby, and then often, I remember with my first, you get quite stressed even handing the baby, even to like friend or family, you know, because it's your little precious thing. Gradually these things change, but early days, we haven't actually spoken about. After my first child, I breastfed for 9 months, and then I did a cleanse with you, Colette.
Yeah, that's right.
And by then I'd only had about two periods, because breastfeeding stops it for you, you know, and so out of balance. And I did a cleanse with you, and we were already like actively trying, because we were like, okay, the first one took 3 years. Let's just carry on and see, you know, if it takes another 3 years. I did that cleanse in the January, and literally 2 weeks later, I was pregnant.
That's right. Remember that? You see?
That's why my gap is actually quite small. The gap's 18 months.
I remember, especially after your second child, you had a lot of pitta imbalance this time.
Yeah.
And we spoke after that, and now Walter is how old now?
He's 6 months.
6 months. So this is a little fresher in your mind. It's still there. Yes. Or have you forgotten it all? I know.
No. Your hormones are a mess. I remember having night sweats. Heavy night sweats. Like dripping. The whole pajamas, like you could wring them out. Dripping. And then, you know, you get freezing cold afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think that's Vata, isn't it?
Yes, the sweating could be a little bit of pitta as well, but
So also I have bad stomach ulcers. Yeah. So from the aspirin every day, and then in both my pregnancies, I had very, very bad heartburn.
Yeah, because the aspirin is heating as well. Yeah.
So then in both of postpartum, I've had stomach ulcers. The first time round, I didn't know what it was, and then, you know, go to the doctor and get it. You know, they confirm what it is, and cut out coffee and wine. This time round, I was like, I can feel it coming again. And so I've started taking, what's it called?
Shatavari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the days where it's been bad, I remember I just cut out coffee.
Right. Yeah. I remember having a chat with you about foods, and you were doing the kitchery, the pitta balancing kitchery. That's
probably
been an
about
staple.
Every month, for about 3 days, we all do the kitchery to help clear us out. My husband's also pitta.
Yes.
So that really helps.
Right. No, it's great. And that's been really good for you. And then I know we talked about bringing in different spices and cooling spices. And I remember for the breast milk, we talked about fennel as well.
Yes, I've been drinking a lot of fennel tea, and my children have both had bad wind, colic. So that really helps as well. Drinking the fennel tea goes all the way through the milk to them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's great. Yeah. So it's been interesting because with each postpartum you had, it was different. I think the first one was more Vata imbalanced, right?
Yeah.
And then this one was definitely more heat, because I remember you were having a lot.
With the sweats. Yeah.
The sweats, the ulcers. Yeah.
Yeah. And this one, I'm probably more, you know, I get very irritated. My children, well, it's quite normal for babies not to sleep. So with my first, he first slept through the night at 8.5 months.
Right.
Now,
right.
Before you have children, you don't quite understand. I thought it was probably going to be like, oh yeah, once or twice a week, it'll be a bad night. No, it's every single night. So currently, he's just over 6 months. I still have only had the most amount of sleep I basically have is 3-hour blocks.
Right. My gosh. I know. We spoke a few weeks ago.
It's totally it's madness how we even how mothers function.
well, this is why I said, Claire, I want you on the show, because let me tell the listeners what happened a few weeks ago. We were talking. Claire was like, "Oh my God, Colette, I'm so exhausted," and I was, listening, and you were telling me what's going on and the lack of sleep, and then you were texted me, I think, a few weeks later, and you had told me that you were just listening, or you decided to listen to the letting go episode I did, but you didn't really think it applied to you. And then you realized that as you were listening to this letting go episode, that you were painting your son's room, trying to juggle the 2 boys under the age of 2, along with breastfeeding and lack of sleep, and trying to ground your vata dosha after giving birth. And you had this huge aha moment, like, oh my God, I'm trying to be super mom. And maybe this letting go episode information is more relevant than I thought it was. Right? I was like, no kidding. Super mom.
Yeah, I saw it on the episode list. I was like, oh, this won't be relevant. But yeah, actually, I just put it on,
Yeah. While you were painting the room.
Yeah, and I hadn't quite, exactly, crazy mother. I hadn't quite realised that I am a pitta mother.
Right.
I hadn't, this it's just all through your life, and I hadn't twigged, and I keep pushing myself. I keep pushing myself to be this super mother, and I've been getting into situations where I'd be like in the street, and my toddler would be screaming on the floor. I'd have like Walter, I carry him in the like a baby carrier on the front, the 6-month-old, and he'd be crying, and then I'd be crying, and I'd be like, this is just a disaster.
Oh.
But basically, just over pushing myself and just not sitting down and listening and relaxing. And so it was just like a light bulb moment. I was just like, I am the pitta mother. I am driving myself into the ground. Even with the breastfeeding, I had pain for the first 3 months. Now that should send alarm bells. It sent alarm bells to me when I was like, oh, it's so painful. I'm then going to stop feeding.
Oh my gosh, right.
Because your pitta people are so determined just to keep
going. Absolutely. And do you find, like, with the pitta characteristics comes along that perfectionism as well?
Yeah. I want to, exactly. I want to be able to go out and it's be this lovely trip out. But now I've kind of, it's not a major shift. It's just a different way of looking at things. Like, we'll just sit and play. Like, I don't need to go out every day. Right. If I'm tired, the kids directly, the days where I'm most tired and I'm snapping, they react. And so now the second that I snap, I'm like, right, I'm see this. Right. So I just literally sit down and we play. I'm like, what's up? Maybe I've been trying to do other things. I'm trying to set up a company as well. I want to start my aromatherapy, and I want to start that from September.
Right. But being mindful.
Exactly. I'm just like, I'm just doing too much. You can't sit there in the room and be doing other things. You just need to sit there and be with the kids and just play, because it gets frustrating for everyone otherwise. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's so true nowadays, because I talk about this, I've talked about it in other episodes, that I think moms are under so much pressure nowadays, to be the mom. Plus there's this, then if you're going back to work and you're trying to juggle a household and work and childcare, it's a lot. Obviously I don't have children. I don't know how you do it. I have enough to manage myself and my business. I honestly don't know how you do it with children on top of that.
There's no time, basically. So, I mean, I try and do certain things for myself during the day. But as the children get older, I definitely want to start implementing more daily habits. Currently, I've been up 4 or 5 times in the night. There's no chance of me waking up beautifully before my children.
Not kidding.
It happened the other week. I had 3 minutes.
Yeah, right.
But I know that they're young. They're young children.
Exactly.
A 6-month-old, a 2-year-old. I know that things are changing already. My child's 6 months, and he's gone into his own room. He's starting to eat solids, and I can feel the change already. As a 6-month-old's very different to a newborn. I can feel that it's getting much easier. I'm using my essential oils as well.
Yeah,
lavender.
Yeah, I wanted to
rose.
talk to you. Yeah, tell us about what oils you're using.
Primarily it's clary sage, rose, lavender, bergamot. These are lovely oils for balancing hormones. My hormones are still I feel like they're still all over the place.
Right. Of course. It's still only 6 months. Yeah.
And also breastfeeding keeps the hormones going as well.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me a little bit more about those oils. So clary sage is good for hormonal balancing.
Yes, you can use that you don't use it in pregnancy, but I used it in labour and in postnatal now. Same with rose, you can use all the way through.
I love rose. Yeah,
it's beautiful for women. Lavender is calming and relaxing and helps with pain relief. And then I use bergamot a lot. That's uplifting. I do have a lot of days where sleep deprivation, I think, answers for a lot. Paranoia,
absolutely,
anxiety, depression. So I use these oils a lot, and at nights I've made myself a little rollerball, because believe it or not, even though I'm exhausted, if you're woken constantly throughout the night, sometimes it's hard to go back to sleep, especially if it's like in your certain pitta hours.
Yes.
If I don't get to bed before 10 o'clock because I'm up with a child, then I often can't get back to sleep.
Right.
So I've made myself a lovely rollerball, and in that I've got neroli, I've got lavender, and I've got chamomile. So I rub that onto my wrists, and I can smell it and do nice breathing in bed, and it helps me go back to sleep.
Beautiful. So you put that on a roller and you're putting it right on your pulse points. So then with the other ones, how are you using the clary sage and the lavender and the rose? Are you diffusing them? Are you putting them in the bath?
I'm both diffusing them, and then I put them in the bath. You're not meant to use these ones around newborns.
Okay.
So there's certain ones you can. Lavender, the chamomile, that's all right. The other ones you're not meant to. So I do it when they're they've gone to bed, basically. Okay,
so you should not even diffuse them around the young children.
Not very young ones.
Okay.
And I use them on them as well. So like my toddler falls over a lot, so I'll use a very, very low dilution in some, and made him a little roller with some lavender in it. So when he has a cut or graze, we rub that on that on the cuts and graze. And then when the essential oil is made, there's also a floral water that comes with it, the hydrosol. So that's much safer for children. So like in their bath, I'll put the lavender water. So that's nice. Calming, and it helps all the cuts and grazes as well.
So you make that yourself, the water do you put an essential oil in water, or how?
No, it's when essential oil is made.
Okay.
So when they distill the flowers or the petals, or whichever part of they're made in different ways. But with the lavender, they'll be distilling the flowers, and out of that, you'll get water and the oil. That's the essential oil, and then the water's not normally used, you see, but actually it's coming into much, much more use now. Which the rose water, which I'm putting onto my eyes,
I love rose water.
Another oil that I use, pregnancy, there are all sorts of delightful things, but varicose veins is one of them.
Yeah, delightful things. The way you say that.
Pregnancy has got some quite unglamorous sides to it.
Right.
And they, most of them have gone, but I've still got a few of them. So I've made myself a roller for that as well. And in that I've got cypress and lemon and geranium. So they're good for the circulation.
Very interesting, because varicose veins would be a vata aggravating. Any abnormalities or variabilities in the body can be vata which varicose veins is one of them. And those oils that you're using are very grounding, earthy oils, which would ground vata. So it's what did you say again?
Cypress, lemon,
yeah,
and geranium.
So the geranium and the cypress would be very grounding. Yeah, very good. And so then you just roll that on the varicose vein itself.
Yeah, I mean, you could use it as a compress, or make up a little, or an oil. But I decided to use these little rollers points because it's quite easy.
Yeah.
So, if I don't have a lot of time, suddenly I'm like, okay, I've pre-made this up, so maybe once a day I'll just quickly pick it up and roll it on.
Right.
So time-consuming, making my life a bit easier.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Absolutely. Okay, so that's great information on the oils. Is there other ways we could use them as well? Like we have the diffuser, you have the roller. I also heard it's nice to put them on a cotton ball and in your pillowcase.
Yeah, that's the same as what I would do for the roller at night.
Okay, right.
So
exactly.
You could put a couple of drops of lavender or chamomile on the cotton ball in your pillowcase. The important thing is not to put it directly onto your skin neat.
Right. Yes.
So it's diluted in the oils. Or on a cotton ball, and then you're smelling or inhaling it. I like to put it in the bath as well. Again, you shouldn't just drop them directly into the bath. You should put it into something else. Maybe it's a plain base of like a plain bubble bath. You can buy plain ones, or you can put it in a drop of milk or a drop of grapeseed oil or sweet almond oil. So the
essential oil needs a fatty component?
Yes.
Okay.
Or else it will just sit on top of the water and evaporate before you've got in the bath. Or the fact it's neat sitting on the top, you will end up irritating your skin. You're not meant to put it neat on your skin. Right. So if you put it into something to dissolve, it's a soluble, then it goes into the bath nicely.
Right.
So I especially at the start with very, very sore breasts from the start of breastfeeding, I was using a lot of lavender in my bath. And I'd lie there. I didn't need much water, but I remember just lying there, getting the right boob into the water.
Oh, I know, you'd have to do it real slowly.
Yeah, and then going left and dipping it in. And it was really, really useful. And my husband always like, right, this is the time. You need to go and have your bath.
Oh, that's great.
Even if it's just, that's it, your 20 minutes, and then you're back ready for your night shift of feeding. But it's so important. Just take those 20 minutes,
Yeah, absolutely. And so you've learned, I guess, throughout this journey that we've talked about, from where in 2010, where it was, just you and you just met your husband, Anton, and you were doing a lot of biking and sport, that you constantly it's a constant learning process, isn't it? Even though you had that, that stress and burnout, like we both had then around that time. And then you learned, okay, I need more balance. But then you went on this journey with Ayurveda and learned more and other holistic therapies as well. But then you caught yourself again postpartum going, oh, wait, now my pitta has intensified. And I find that too. That even as I have all this knowledge that I'm going, through life, and then I catch myself and I'm like, oh, hold on here. This is way too intense for you, whether it's in my workout or in my work day. And I literally have to kind of call myself out. But it's constant management, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's constant. Yeah, I started doing, I keep doing my yoga. I've started doing little runs now, 5K runs. I just do it easy along the canal, but there's a little race you can do. And you can feel yourself. You're like, oh, I really want to get this time.
Right? So that's a pitta creeping back in, getting competitive again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then it's like, hang on a minute, you're still only like 5 months postpartum. Be kind to your body.
Right.
So I only go there like once a month. Otherwise it's easy along the canal, breathe in, just near the water. I love being near water. I find it very, very relaxing and cooling.
Yes.
I'm outside with the kids as much as I can. We have a beautiful garden. We grow our own food.
Beautiful.
Not enough to be self-sufficient, but we grow our vegetables. We've got fruit growing. We've got a herb garden going. We are outdoors as much as we can be. We've got rabbits. We've got a new pet cat.
I heard him in the background.
We try and go feed the ducks a few times a week. Even that's how you can bring nature in.
And doing it with the children. That's when I talk to parents, and I think it's really important to meet yourself, just like I do with clients. Meet the person where they are in life, and just for yourself. Just like you said earlier, okay, it's a day where I find I just snapped at the children. It's like, wait, now hang on here. What is going on? And you got to go, okay, today I'm feeling irritable. So let me just not try overload myself with too many chores today. I'm just going to sit on the floor, chill out, and focus on the children for a while and try to calm myself down, right? Yeah. And it's so important to just check in with yourself. And to make sure that you're not just trying to do too much and plow through. And by taking time with the children like that, whether it's in nature or coloring with them or whatever it is, that can be a meditative time for you, right, as well. And it can be a calming time.
Exactly. Yeah, mm-hmm. Pitters are meant to take a bit of downtime in the afternoon. I'm always like, this is never going to happen. But actually, you can. Mm-hmm. You can just sit quietly and play with them, and you all have a bit of downtime. My 2-year-old is trying to drop his afternoon nap, so now we all it's quite nice though, because we all have a bit of chill out time together, and I join him.
That's great. Yeah, especially for people listening, it's that time between 2 and 6 p.m. This is when Vata rises in the environment, and we can get a little bit, especially if you're high Vata or a Vata imbalance, that you can get a little bit of mind spinning maybe, you get a little bit ungrounded. So this is a great time to, if you're with children, to do some creative work, maybe go to the park, just spend time where you're just chilling out. This is not the time to be running around in traffic or doing a lot of activity or doing a lot of, exercise. It's really time to ground.
Exactly. Yeah, around 2 till 4 for us. That's what we're doing.
Isn't that great though? And that you're teaching the kids that too. So this is going to be their norm. Like, okay, this time of the day, I'm kind of I chill out a little bit. And let my lunch digest and chill out. Yeah. So then on your aromatherapy, you're going to not push yourself too crazy on that, and you're just going to take your time, and it's great that you're already implementing it, because obviously you trained years ago, right? You trained
in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the time I just felt like I wanted to travel, and I didn't have enough life experience basically.
Right.
Wasn't connecting very well with some of my clients, so I went out and I traveled. I worked with NGOs over in East Africa for like 10 years. Then I ended up in France,
right,
running the bike tour company. Now I've come back and I'm like, okay, now I've been through all this infertility issues and trying to work out my health, and definitely in a place now where I'm like, okay, I've got a bit of life experience, and it's time to do something for that. It's time to come back to it, basically. Beautiful. So hopefully from September, I'm going to have the children in daycare for 2 days, and just get going with it. And equally, even just putting your children into daycare, that can have some issues, and that was part of the whole letting go process. I was trying umming and ahhing and feeling bad at sending my child off to a childminder for 2 days a week, and actually I was just like, like let it go. Like he loves it,
right?
He loves it. There's nothing wrong with it. He's getting so much out of it. So then I can use that time now to spend, with Walter, my second born, and hang out with him and do a few things around the house.
Right. There is that mother's guilt, isn't there?
Oh,
I hear a lot of my friends talking about it. Yeah. But like you said, Sebastian, the 2-year-old, will love being with others, and it's important for his social skills and meeting new friends and for his development as well. Yeah,
he's only been going there for 1 month so far, 2 days a week, and he's already, the language is coming along a treat. He loves it. He loves it. Whenever we say you're going to Judy's, Judy.
Oh, so, that's great.
All these different parts of motherhood, trying to do your own work. Trying to be a good mother, trying to be a good wife.
I know, right?
And then, but primarily, if I'm out of balance and I'm irritable and tired, then everything goes. You can see it ripple down. So
absolutely. Yes.
So I'm going to try and take more care of myself each time. As the kids are getting older, I can feel a little bit more time and space for myself.
Well, it is a priority, and I know I've talked about this in another episode. Actually, I think it was at the end of the Letting Go episode with Amy. Talked about how for mums, you're the hub of the family. Everything, you know, for the most part, mum is the center of it all. And if mum is not taking care of herself, like you said, that imbalance is going to ripple through, and the children feel the energy. You know, like you said, the days that you're feeling off or irritable, the kids feel it and they start acting up. So it is so important to carve out that self-care time and to get support. If you have support from your partner, or you can take some time, you know, have some other people mind the children at some point and really try carve out that time. You know, even a few minutes in the morning just to ground yourself, a few minutes at the end of the day.
Exactly. And on a Saturday morning, my husband and I agree that he will have the kids for 1 hour, even if it's just 1 hour. And I get to go off I do a lovely yoga class. It's an hour and a half, lovely. Where we do very calm, relaxing yoga, meditation, breathing, or else I go out and do a run. But Saturday mornings, that's my time. Sometimes it doesn't work out because we're off doing something else, or he travels, we work. But generally, we try for him to have the kids and for me to have a little bit of time off.
Yes, so important to have this time away.
It is. And I come back a lot, you know, mentally a lot better. Even if I'm really tired, I've been up 10 times the night, whatever, I will still go out. I will still go and do a very gentle run. I will still go out and do yoga because mentally we need it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So now that thank you for all that. I think it's such important information. I think it's great info for moms to hear, future moms, people who are thinking about becoming moms, and for dads. You know, we have a lot of guys that have been in touch with me who listen to this episode. It's good for them to hear a woman's point of view. And so what advice, Claire, would you give to new mothers listening today, or for those people thinking now about becoming a mother and going into like preconception phase? What advice would you have?
Definitely to speak to you. It helps change your lifestyle. For me, it was a slow process to start with. Gradual, you're learning about your body. So for new mums, go and talk to you. If a cleanse might, you know, help you reset, that's what I felt it did. It really resetted me, and clearly it worked. Yes. It was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
But also in pregnancy and postpartum, you're so out of balance. It's just really important not to be hard on yourself. Like it's a real slow process. It's quite a survival mode when you have a newborn. The sleep deprivation is so chronic. You can't see, or you're so wrapped up in it all. So just let it, just go with it. And it's, finally after 6 months, I'm starting to see the wood, the trees. And this is my second pregnancy, remember, my second child. So just be kind to yourself and try and do these little things that help you cope. And if you're a pitter, then hopefully we've given lots of advice today, but just don't be hard on yourself. It takes months.
Yeah, that's true. And then, of course, for everyone out there, who's planning on becoming a mother or has a newborn or young children, it's taking the help and taking the support. I think that's huge because as women, there's a drive in us just to take care of everyone and to be the provider. But you have to take care of yourself, because unless you're in balance and you're thriving within yourself, you're going to be useless to everyone else around you. And we need the mothers in particular to be in balance, so it has a good knock-on effect for the rest of the family, and also that the children are learning some good lifestyle habits.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like with your children getting out in nature, and then they had the chill out time, the cave time in the afternoon.
And the fact that we're growing our own food as well.
Yeah.
So in the evening, I always make sure we have, you know, a nice wholesome, like we cook lots of dal here and lovely vegetables, and hopefully that's giving them a good grounding as well.
Oh yeah, because it's just part of their lifestyle now. They think it's normal for people to grow their own food, which is fantastic. And you know, if you don't have a garden, you could do it in, you know, herbs. Even if you're in an apartment, you could do some herbs in a little flower pot, you know. So at least they're getting that, you know, that touch with nature.
And we started with an allotment as well. You don't have to have it in your own garden.
That's right, you did.
You can rent space.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah. Well, Claire, thanks a million for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate you being so open. I think it's really going to help people, and just being so vulnerable and sharing it all. And, you know, I think for a lot of people, they will get so much out of this, and it's almost giving permission, like, okay, you know, remember, don't be the super mom, and get the support and get the help, and always listen to your body.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, my dear. I appreciate it.
No problem. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed that episode with Claire. She was so great to come on and be so open and vulnerable and talking about her experience with burnout, infertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and now trying to balance life and business with 2 toddlers. So I really appreciate her taking the time to come on the show today. And hopefully you got some great tips and information from that, and learning from Claire's, you know, journey about not trying to be the super mom, and taking good care of yourself, that your health and wellness should be a priority and it's not being selfish, and also taking support where you can and not trying to do it all by yourself. So I will also link to Claire's new business page on Instagram, which is Aromatherapy by Claire. She's starting into that business again. So I'll put that link in the show notes. And if you're interested in doing the cleanse that Claire mentioned in the show, the preconception cleanse that I do, I'll put a link to that in the show notes also. Thanks so much for tuning in. I always appreciate your support. Take good care of yourself and be well.